As you can see, it's a perfect day for a duck. These ducks are finally producing eggs, you know, carrying their weight. It's been a long haul, but you know, you turn your back on them and they want to come in. You guys just dump your food. Hey, don't they like it in here? They got their water and we're gonna build another coop soon. So I figured you guys wanted to see how they're doing, so I figured I'd give you an update. Hey, how you guys doing? Laying eggs? Waddles and Puddles are doing great. I got Dwayne here.
Morning.
Today is maintenance day. I'm so excited for maintenance day. I love maintenance. Do you love maintenance, Dwayne?
Well, that's how I make my living sometimes.
All right, so the backstory behind Dwayne owns one of these tractors. And when I bought a tractor, I thought it's a smart idea to own a tractor that somebody else that does maintenance owns. I've modeled this in my life. I own a Chevy Silverado because my main mechanic owns a Chevy Silverado, same year, make and model. And I own a Kubota BX23S tractor because Dwayne owns a BX23S tractor. So he's already done all the maintenance on his tractor because it's a little bit older, so he can see the future. We're at the 400-hour mark roughly. I've got some parts I've got to add to this thing. I've got some special features I want to add. And primarily I want to take the hoe off because I want, what's it called, a rake?
Yeah, landscape work.
So I'm going to use the rake to rake pine needles. So I got to take the hoe off. I've never taken the hoe off. In the manual it says bada bing, bada boom. It just pops off. So we're going to do that, and we got some, again, 400-hour maintenance sort of stuff. So we're going to show you that, and wheel spacers. We got wheel spacers, which is exciting. All the things that are required to do to maintain an investment in a tractor. In the wintertime, I had purchased some tire chains to put on this tractor from my dealer, and it turns out you can't actually put them on a BX23 tractor on the rear tires anyways, because there's not enough space from the tire to the frame of the tractor. I asked my dealer if he had any wheel spacers, and he says they don't have any at the warehouse, and they don't know when they're gonna get them again. So I was kind of like, oh, well, that's fun. So I didn't have any tire chains. You guys probably noticed I didn't have any tire chains on the rear tires. I had tire chains on the front tires. And then I was sourcing some wheel spacers. So I reached out to the guys over at mmm-usa.com. It was a Master Machine Manufacturing. And I asked them, because they're a manufacturing company that machine stuff, to make me some wheel spacers. So
They make your tractor a lot more stable.
yes, I was gonna mention that. They do widen the footprint so they make it a lot more stable. That's cool. So what this is going to do is actually just put the tire out a little bit in order for the tire chains to pass by the frame of the tractor. USA. They also make that fancy grill I cook on. Our first thing we're gonna do right now is we're gonna actually pop this guy up, and we're gonna put the tire spacers on. Whenever I'm installing anything that's two dissimilar metals, I use this high temp FG anti-seize lubricant. And what I'm trying to prevent is dissimilar metals from, I guess, corrosion or something like that. So you put it on the one side, and then when it marries up to the dissimilar metal, it doesn't corrode. And if you ever need to take it off again, you can. Use the power of Grayskull to tighten the nut.
Pretty much.
Loctite bang threads. Hear that? Hear that for advice? Loctite. No, don't put Loctite on your... Snug. Snug. And then filter wrench. Filter wrench. This is a cool tool. I should do a cool tool thing. This is like a strap with a ratchet thing that goes over top your doohickey. I'm not a mechanic. Doesn't show. That's why I got my mechanic here. So what I'm taking off right now is the oil, hydrostatic oil filter, because I'm at the 400-hour service. Apparently that was pressurized. New filter. I'm gonna take a little bit of this around the seal.
Really good hand tight. You shouldn't need the filter wrench. Put it back on.
Hand tight, use the power of Grayskull.
Pretty much, and then use the filter wrench to take it off.
All right. Okay, that's good.
You good?
I think it's good. What do I know though? Okay, so we've got the wheels torqued back on now. It's a good idea to drive these for a little bit and then retorque them, because it is aluminum and you don't want to over tighten them, but again, you want them snug. So they might loosen up over, you know, a couple of hours, and then just give it another little torque. Make sure they're good, they don't fall off. You don't want your wheels falling off. All right, moving on to the next thing. We're gonna fill this thing back with hydrostatic fluid. That's what we took out, and just do the bucket because we're doing the hydrostatic fluid change. We did the hydrostatic fluid filter. It's hard to say. And now we're gonna fill it up. Sort of while you're at it job. We got the air filters, we're just checking those. They look pretty decent. And we use a little bit of air to blow them out. And you don't want to use too much air because it rips the paper. And I guess the other rad filter seems to be okay. A couple of pine needles in there, but not too big of a deal. Don't change that, but we gotta change the oil. So that's next on the agenda.
Anytime you're connecting these lines, the tractor has to be shut off.
Okay.
So, like I said, I set it down because if this sags at all, it loads up the hydraulic lines.
Right.
Okay, put the pin in so it won't go anywhere. So now it's pretty simple. These lines come off. I'll say that.
Never been off.
Yeah, it feels like it.
No, that's not bad.
One comes off. You got a male and a female,
Oh, okay.
so you can't mix those two up.
That guy there gets connected back in. Cap goes on that guy. And then the cap goes on your hydraulic hoses. And everything is good.
You're gonna build up your 3-point hitch. Now, once this is together, you're only gonna have a less handful of pieces. So, this is gonna go on. You need to put these two funky shape bearings or bushings on, okay? So what they do is this bar goes in, and you can move it all the way through, right? But when you put this in, you turn these bushings.
These are bushings.
The bushings.
Right there.
We're just going to loosely put this together until we get it all set, and then we'll lock it up.
So it's important to feed your helpers.
Ah, yes.
That's right. What'd you get there? Oh, I got.
That's yours. I got you some fries.
You got no.
You got.
I was the helper. No, you're the. Am I the helper?
No. I'm the helper this
Dwayne was the helper.
I got a quarter pounder
We got a quarter pounder.
and fries.
We didn't have egg. We didn't even do egg McMuffins today.
No, I didn't give you enough warning that I was coming over.
That's right. So it's important to feed your helpers, and if it's a treat, right? It's a treat.
Yeah.
I eat McDonald's too frequently. I got a McChicken today. I bottled up some. It always looks like motor oil. I got some maple syrup for Dwayne because Dwayne helped a bunch. So here you go. You can put that on your quarter pounder.
That's really nice coloring.
It is as long. I don't think the filter quite was. So there's a little bit of sediment in the bottom, so just don't shake it or let it sit there. But
That's a really nice color. I didn't make sap this year, so this is good.
There you go. Well, there's more where that comes from. When you just bring that bottle back, we refill it, and you'll have an infinite amount of maple syrup, or you can just drink it. If you need some calories real quick, just down that bottle.
Just down that?
Yeah. I think Dwayne's actually going to he's going to think of making a boiler based on our design. Because as you guys know, or guys you may not know, is that the last couple of years we've been using Dwayne's stainless steel vat, that square thing. It was this old hot water heater for his camper, and we've been using that to boil down. So we've been using that for
a while.
Half a decade ago.
Yeah, about that. Because I haven't been since my dad passed. I haven't. I never used it for our moose hunting camp.
So we boiled using that for probably too long. Anyways, we gave that one back to him. It's got a little bit of experience now, and we created our own. So he's thinking of making his own little evaporator or big evaporator, large scale, out of an old oil tank. So we're just keeping our eyes open for that.
Yeah.
And another tank.
No, it'd be good because I started laying out for up north trees that we're gonna tap this year, so or
Cool.
next year.
Well,
so.
in the meantime, you've got yourself your collection of maple syrup. And we're gonna get back to raking some pines.
That's a nice rake.
It's trial by error.
I think it'll work well.
My official plan today was to show you guys how that awesome rake works on the tractor, because we got it all loaded up and then we got it back here, and well, it turns out it's raining. It looks like the rain has settled in for the day. That's not gonna happen today. Every time you touch a tree, it seems to rain down on you. It's just no fun in the rain. So let's find an indoor rainy day project. And the log cabin. Let's go have a look. Let's go to the log cabin and see what we can figure out to do on this rainy day. It's a good day to be a duck. This is my indoor project. I think I should probably deal with sooner than later. And what it is so we got the floor in the other day. Turn my pack on. Where's the power? We got power. Okay, so we put the floor in the other day, and it's obviously unfinished ash flooring. And what's going to happen to it if we keep walking on it with our dirty feet and it's not sealed, this is going to turn black and stay like that forever. So I figure it's a good opportunity right now, have it, being raining and we can't do much outside anyways, is to give it a little bit of a sand. I don't want a perfect, mirror finish on this stuff. I kind of want, get rid of the burrs and the anything that's sticking up, and just basically make it smooth enough to walk on without shoes on. Give it a little coat of either sanding sealer or some varnish. See what I got laying around. I could thin it down a little bit with some Varsol, some paint thinner, in order to get it to soak into the pores of the wood, and then it'll protect it going forward so it doesn't turn black. Sock feet, don't want to get the floor dirty. So we're gonna clear this up and clean it out, give it a sweep, and then give it a sand. A palm sander, something like that. We give that battery pack another workout to see how long it'll last. Well, that little guy's appropriate, isn't it? Isn't it? It's easy to kind of feel like a slug on a rainy day and not get anything done. But like I said, I take the opportunity when it's raining to do inside stuff. So we want to get those checked off the list, the rainy day projects. We're gonna be working inside. Cool tool time again. I was planning on using a palm sander and then I couldn't find it. So I've opted to use my Black & Decker dragster. Now this is a cool tool time segment because this is kind of like a task specific tool. This one in particular, I have a larger Makita belt sander that could, sand a rock. This thing is more delicate. It doesn't dive in as much because it's probably not as quick, and it also depends on what grit of sandpaper you're going to use. On this particular floor, I'm going to use 120 grit because I'm not looking for a piano finish. I'm looking for more of a get rid of the dirt, get rid of the high spots, round off a little bit of everything, knock off the high spots. And what's neat about this belt sander is because this little guy flips up at the front. So what it allows you to do is get really close to anything you're sanding, especially the walls. So if you're doing like stair treads, or if you're doing, in your house and you need to sand the floor and you want to get right close to the baseboard, you can flip the front of this guy up. And you can get really close, because a lot of them have a really tight or a really large radius at the front. You can't get really close to things. That's the cool thing about this one in particular. And I don't think it draws as much power as the other one, so we should be able to sand for longer. I guess it's kind of like a catch-22. Do you sand longer or do you sand faster? The light's running on battery. It's pulling 80 watts, an 80 watt LED, and this thing is 7 amps at 120 volts. So what's that in wattage? 7 times 120. Yeah, that's a lot of watts. Got my respirator. And the most important, I got my work tune. You guys can't hear it, but I'll be dancing in my head. Well, I think I got it pretty good. The technique behind this guy is kind of go with swirling motion. Always keep it moving, otherwise it digs a big hole. So again, this wasn't, it's not intended to have a piano finish on it. It was just kind of sand it, make it clean, get a little smoother for your feet. I'm in socked feet right now, and I think that's as probably unclothed as you're gonna get in this cabin. So, and it's pretty soft as it is. So I'm gonna throw a coat of varnish or sanding sealer onto it, so it's thinned out varnish, so it gives it a nice coat of protectant to keep it clean in the future, and then you can more or less, wipe it down with a wet cloth and it doesn't soak in.
What I'm using to finish this floor is polyurethane varnish. It's an oil-based product. It means you can thin it with Varsol or paint thinner. Ideally, you're applying this either with a, it's almost like a trowel or a squeegee when you do floor finishing. I don't have one of those right now, so I'm going to use myself a brush. And ideally, use a natural bristle brush, but I don't have one of those either, so I'm using a regular polyester nylon brush. This is a roller, but it's an old roller, so it's got all the fuzz out of it. And you can see how it's been washed at least a couple times. So what I like to do is it keeps the fuzz down, especially when you're using the oil-based product. So that's your painting tips for the day. Also, it's a good idea not to shake varnish. You're only supposed to stir it because it adds bubbles. Not so much so critical with an oil-based product. The bubbles seem to kind of settle out, but when you're using a latex finish, water-based finish, it tends to froth up and then you get more bubbles. So I got the old paint tray. It's dry. So yeah, it's a quick coat of this stuff and it should, oh, that's some good stuff. Like I said, I thinned her down a bit because I wanted to penetrate the surface, soak right into the wood. Your painting is to add a stick. Even when you're painting walls, add a stick. Look how much more action you can get when you're painting a wall with a stick on your end. Use an old paint roller so it doesn't give you fuzz. And in this case, I'm going to cut around the sides because I don't want to get the crud on the exterior, the perimeter. Well guys, that's one less thing on the rainy day project list. Got the floor varnished, sealed, so it remain beautiful forever. And it's easy to clean because, well, raw wood tends to take dirt. The sun is shining. Let's rake some pine needles. Now, this is a kind of a part of a long-term plan of managing this forest. And my theory is if I can get some of the pine needles off the ground, it'll help stuff regrow. It'll mitigate forest fire risk. It'll encourage growth because you won't have, a bed of pine needles this thick. I've never used anything on the back of my tractor, so this is a first for me. This Land Pride was basically a rock rake, and it's designed to rake stuff. Just give her a couple of hours anyways to see how well I can do. So anyways, rake goes up, rake goes down, the control on the side of the tractor, and you kind of got to look over your shoulder in order to see what it's doing, and hopefully not get it hooked on a tree or something. All right, let's see how this thing works. To expect. I've never seen one work, and it seems to rake. Definitely seems to rake, but it appears as though I gotta kind of find a low spot to put everything because it's like this thick. It's thick. So you can see I kind of made a mess. I pushed everything around. I made a pile over there, and I made a pile over there, and I don't think I'm any further ahead. I think I gotta clear some more deadfalls, so some more of the logs and trees and stuff like that are actually just laying on the ground. I can't actually drive through there without damaging something. Well, it appears as though I've lost a U-shaped holder thing that holds that one arm in place and the cotter pin, and it's going to be like finding a needle in a haystack. Oh, well, I probably shouldn't operate that without that thing there, so that's pretty much it for right now. I gotta head. Oh, look at that! Look at, I found it. Look at that. That's insane. I found that. All's well that ends well. That's what I say. It works. It's just, I think it takes a little bit more time than I think it should. I think it should just poof magically, disappear. And there's definitely a learning curve. If you guys got any suggestions, or I always like reading your comments. I do read them and I do heart them. If I do read them and I do not, if I find them at all helpful, I'll put a heart there, and if there's a question, I generally answer them. But yeah, leave a comment down below and join me on the next one.